Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 12th of May, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at currencies, then stock markets, commodities, and last of all, some tech stocks. And we start with the dollar index. Dollar just holding on to the gains that we made earlier in the week, but it is flatlining a little bit at the moment. We still are bullish in the long term, and in the short term, but the medium term is still a bit bearish. The key point is, was this a low point for the dollar? About this time last year, that was a low point for the dollar. On the weekly chart, we see that early May, so it may just be that we're doing something similar and we're about to start a secular move up. The key thing is watching for any new short-term targets. We've got a new potential one here, but still have some resistance on the short-term chart. The euro, conversely, is below the cloud, just testing this 108.50 level, and that's quite key. We will get a new downside target on this column, but for the moment it's waiting for a break to the downside before that's activated. We do have quite strong resistance here in the medium term, and the long-term picture is still pretty bearish. Looking at the Japanese yen, dollar is just weakening a little bit here, so the yen strengthening. The risk on trade is having a little bit of an impact where the yen is just seeking some short-term strength. That's also the dollar is still just bearish on the medium and long-term charts, but interestingly, we don't have much work to do now to get into a bullish frame for the dollar either. So just on the last couple of days, just selling off a little bit, but it is still dollar strength. Sterling, we're seeing just breaking down below the cloud, so short-term weakness there. We are bullish in the medium term, but bearish in the long term. So interestingly, a mixed picture here for sterling. Lots of downside targets still to play out, so quite key. Looking at the euro sterling rate, we see the euro sterling is weakening against the euro and against the Swiss franc and against the Australian dollar. So just sterling just coming off its recent highs. US stock market just struggling to break this 2,400 level. We see here it's just really struggling, but we do have these short-term upside targets. We've got 2,468, so that's 3% upside, and 2,441, so about 2% upside. That one not yet activated, but we do have targets to the upside there. The Nasdaq looking bullish as well. A shortage of short-term targets, but the medium and long-term charts are just stellar. And the Dow Jones, much the same thing, and the Russell 2000 as well. Looking at the S&P future, we're seeing here that's just down slightly, down 0.2%, and the same with the Nasdaq E-mini. Suggests we might just see a fairly flat close to the end of the week. FTSE 100 is breaking to new highs, 7,397, just nudging that 7,400 level, and that would be close to taking out the March high, but it is bullish on all three time frames with upside targets. And the FTSE 250 continues to power ahead, although the short-term chart just a little bit mixed, down yesterday, but the trend is still very strong here. And the DAX also just flat the last few days, but still looking good in the long term. And the Nikkei, the same picture. So we're just seeing that across the board. Hang Seng, similar. Shanghai has been the one that has been falling, and we've not yet managed to get back above the cloud and reverse. And the Indian market, the Sensex, also just struggling a little bit yesterday, but still bullish above the cloud. And the Australian market is actually bearish below the cloud, one market that's just not looking so good short term. The Brent price has got back above the $50 level, so we're back above the cloud, but the reality is this medium-term picture now is pretty bearish. And WTI, much the same picture, downside target here of $37, and on Brent it was $41 on the long-term chart. So quite a bearish outlook now for the next several months. US nat gas jumped a little bit yesterday, so we're at this $3.37 level. We've got targets to 371, 368, so that's where we look to be headed. Copper just a bit flat at the moment and bearish in the medium term. Coffee, interestingly, has had a jump, but we're still bearish below the cloud here and turning bearish in the long-term chart. Interestingly, some commodities are really moving. So cotton up 3%. That's bullish on all three time frames. Sugar beet, so we're seeing sugar here, just really struggling in the short and medium term. Long term, we might just find some support on the cloud. Taking a look at gold, gold is interestingly just crossing that cloud now, so turning bullish in the short term. The target's not that exciting to the upside. Does look like we're finding support around this cloud level on the daily chart. The key thing is if we make a low at this point, that will be a higher low. We'll be looking for a higher high above 1300. Take a look at the 1 minute chart if you're trading on gold. Take a look at the 1 minute chart. Press the T key. You can see here we have this downside target not activated. Changing the time frames in this bottom left corner, we're seeing, or bottom right corner, we're seeing some upside potential here. 1240, another 1% upside. Is what we're looking for there in the gold price. Silver also turning the corner, so that's looking quite good for precious metals. US Treasury yields just sitting at this 2.4% level, 2.38 at the moment. And then Apple is bullish, still just bullish in all three time frames. Google, much the same picture. Amazon also looking bullish there. Facebook, bullish in the medium and long term. Just a little sell-off here in the this week, but still looking pretty good in the long term. Microsoft sold off yesterday, but that hasn't taken us bearish, so that's quite key. That's it for this week. Until Monday, happy charting. See you then.